Good morning bikers, Big T here again. As promised, I'm going to show you how to take power from your battery on your bike and put it to your top box so you can charge things up like laptops. My purpose is basically to charge my batteries up for my GoPros. As I'm recording with 4 cameras most of the time on bike, I go through batteries like they're going out of fashion. Now the reason for doing this is because I've tried running the cameras from the CAN bus system power supplies. There's 2 on bike, and basically it works, but it's not very good. I don't think they release a lot of power. So what I need is that 12 volts coming from battery. So what I've decided to do is put this power supply into my top box, make it so it can be detachable as well, and this is what I'm going to show you now, how I'm going to go about that and how it works. Right, so first things first, you obviously need a connector. That's what this is. Bought these from Amazon, relatively cheap. They weren't expensive, about 6-7 quid, and you got 5 of them. If you look there, there's 2 pins there, there's a rubber seal, there's a flat edge on that, so basically that flat edge lines up with that. You push it in, screw that down, and that creates a seal. There you go, as easy as that. Now, there is other kinds, like, let me have a look, like these ones here. I have used these ones on my old bikes before now when I can find the other part. It's there, look. So this, basically, is the other type that they do. Now, they're not bad, they're not over bad, but I just feel that quality of that is way better than quality of that. But I think these would work, and I did have them on my old bike for my lights and things like that to make sure I could take them off at crash bars and things, but they work. So I suppose that's not bad. But I did find the cables pulled out of here really easy, so, but they were cheaper. But obviously, I've gone with this one, and I think this is a lot better. Because basically, all I'll have hanging out at back box is that, with a bit of cable like that. That's all you're going to see hanging out at top box. So what I'll do is, and if I don't want the connector on, what I'll do is, I'll just have that, like that. I'll cut that off. I'll sabotage one of these basically and cut that cable off there. And I might even get an hot iron or something and just work that in there so it seals it off, and then that becomes a seal. So basically, the only thing that'll be sticking out at back box is that minus that cable there. So that's that. That's my connector. That's going to go from bike to top box. Right. So that's that. You also need a way of connecting it to battery. So normally, what you'd do if you were going to go straight to your battery, you'd use something like this. You'd use something like this. These connectors like that. Yeah, like that. Yeah. I don't want to use that because I've already got something on my bike that probably most of you have already got. If you have an Optimate or something like that, or I don't know, if you have one of these just for, like, I use one for a pump. I have an electric pump that's in my toolbox on my bike, and this is how I work it. It's one of these. I can't remember the name of it, I'll put it on video, but we all recognise them, don't we? Hey? You know what that is. So, and that's got a thing on. So that, basically, I'm going to have that connecting to the one that's already on bike. So if I ever need to use the one that's on the bike, what I'll do is, I'll just disconnect it here, and then use my pump, whatever, and then just connect this back in and put power back to the top box. Right, so that's coming from battery, basically. So now we're coming from battery. Now what we need to do, we need to now go to a relay, which is one of these, a relay, 4-pin relay. Right, and same again, in that box I've just showed you, have these spade connectors, like these, look. These spade connectors, like that. There you go, right. And on the back of these, it tells you here what they all do. But I'll show you that. And on the back there, you can see these numbers, look. So I think it's the 30 is the switch live, but I'll double confirm that. So what happens is your power comes into here, your earth comes into here like such, and then what happens is the other one, your power goes out to wherever it is you're running. It can be lights, can be my power hub and stuff like that, but then normally it's yellow on your switch live, goes to a switch live when you buy it. Now most people tend to tie into the backlight, for instance, because your backlight or your main headlight always comes on. Well, I don't want to go into my CAN bus, into my wiring. So what I'm going to do is, my bike's got an easy CAN on there. It's also got an Innov K3 camera system. Both them devices both have switch live. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in to one of them devices, switch live. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use this marvellous little invention. This is basically, there's different types of these, but I found this to be the best one. So what happens is, you've got your cable, normally it's yellow, switch live's normally yellow, but it's your bike, do whatever colour you want, don't really bloody matter, to be honest with you. So what you do is, so let's say this is your cable, in fact I'll get a longer one, look. Let's say this is your cable coming from your relay, going to your switch live. So what you do is you pass it through there, put that into there like that, then wind it down, and that tightens itself onto there. It's brilliant, brilliant idea, it really works really well. So that tightens onto there, that's solid, that's not going nowhere. Right, then the other side, the cable that's already in the bike, if you like, let's say that's it, that's the one that's already in the bike, the switch live. What you do is, that goes in there like that, then that goes like that. Basically, it goes, that screws into there, and there's a pin in there, and that pin basically pushes into that cable. Like so. Like that. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant idea. I don't know what's happening there, like, it seems to have gone up pissed a little bit, but there you go, don't matter, still do the same thing. There you go, that's it, works like that. And that pushes that pin into that cable. I think it's the least destructive way of getting a switch live power, doing it that way. Because basically if you take that out and pull that there, you can hardly see it, look, it's just made a little tiny indentation in plastic, but you pull it away like that, there's nothing there. You can give it a rub and there's nothing there, it's not bare wires or anything, so it's a brilliant way of doing it, that. Right, so you've come from your relay, you've got your relay, but before you get to your relay, you also need a fuse. Now these are from Amazon as well, and I think I got a pack of 10 for about 4 or 5 quid. This one does both the small fuses, which I use most of the time, and the bigger fuses, so it's universal if you like. And all you do is you basically cut that off there, and that goes in somewhere, it goes in between that power to your battery and to your relay. And I think it's about 5 amp fuse should do that, so that's that. So now we've gone from the battery to the fuse, to the relay, from the relay to the connector, and this now is going into the box of the bike. Yep. Obviously, cobalt drill bits for drilling a hole into the bike. You need to get the right size. And then what you need, and these were off Amazon as well, is one of these. Little rubber grommet with an hole in it. And I think these are about 4 quid, and look at all them that you get there, they're more than you'll ever need. And then basically what that does, you want to find the one that's the tightest as possible. So if I go like that, that's really tight, that's going to be watertight, that. And basically that'll go into the bike, and the only bit that'll be hanging out at bike is this, like that. So I've taken that off there. I've done it wrong side, haven't I? So yeah, let's say that were that side, it'd be like that. That's the only thing that's going to be hanging out at back box on bike, like that. Brilliant. If you're finding you're struggling to get them onto your box, or you're struggling to get your cable through it, what you need to do is you need to get a bit of wire. Let's find a bit of wire. It doesn't really matter, any wire will do it. Let's say this is it here, and hook it over and hook it through there, and then lower it into a cup of boiling water. And what that'll do is it'll soften it right up. Take it out after a minute or two and then use it. Then it obviously, as it cools down, it goes back harder again. And that's how to use them. Brilliant, brilliant. So that's now, we're now into the box, right? So we're now going up into the box. Now we need to go into something. That's where this comes in, one of these, look. This, I got off Amazon again. I think I got 2 for about a tenner. This has got 2 USB-Cs and a standard free USB port. I did actually have 2 of these and I thought, oh, I'm going to put 2 in, but I decided no, one's enough. One's more than enough, because chances are I'll only ever be charging anything at any one point. So yeah, that then goes to that. And what I've got is I've got some of that armoured coating, and that's where the joint is, my top box, because this is going into the lid at top box. So this will go on joint basically just to protect, because that's going to be moving all the time. And I don't want cable over time to damage, so that'll help that. Same was under the bike, under the seat. If you've got anywhere where the cables are passing over frames and things like that, over time it's going to vibrate. Put a piece of this, and all you do is basically get a couple of these little tiny tie wraps, zip ties, whatever you want to call them, and just go around it like that and pull it tight. But I'll also use one of these zip ties, maybe a little bit bigger one than that, inside where that comes through to stop it from pulling out. Yeah, so that's that. Right, so this is going into top box, but I've actually gone one stage further than that, and I'll show it you now. Now, I made this myself. This is obviously 3D printed, and if you want one, let me know and I'll make you one. But this basically here is that of what I've already showed you. That's that. There, that's screwed onto there. Cables come out at bottom. It's angled there because of the angle in the lid of the top box. I'll show you that in a second. Right then, here we go. Here's my top box. If you notice down there, I've got a couple of tags, cable tags to hold cable in. I don't know if I'm going to keep them or whether I'm going to change it, put some Gorilla tape or something there over the top of the cable, because there's actually a bag that goes in there. This is where the power bank's going to sit and the charging unit, so the cable will come over here like this. So I'll just show you that. So basically, that goes in there like that. What I initially was going to do, I was going to screw it down, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use that double-sided M3 tape. I think that'll be strong enough to hold that in there. And basic cable come down here, look, with some of that armoured cable cover on there. Go down there, going to drill a little hole here, just outside of that plastic bit, just big enough to accept that rubber bung and come through there. So that's how that's going to work. And then basically, as you can see, I can charge my batteries up while I'm on go, and that's all going to be good. So the way of connecting all this together, there's obviously a couple of ways. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use soldering iron. Simple. I like soldering iron. Solder and flux. Simple as that. But if you don't have any of that and you don't want to mess about with that, what you could do is you could just basically twist your cables together. So let's say this is your cable here. This is what I'm going to use, 2-core cable for all my cabling. So what you can do is if you've got your, where are we? Let's have a look. We'll use this one to show you. So what I would do though is I definitely would get some shrink tubing, like so. So I'm get a piece of shrink tubing. That one will do. What I would do is I'd definitely use shrink tubing or insulation tape. So make sure you put that on first. Obviously if you put insulation tape you don't need to do that. Just pull that down. And then obviously, because once you've got these together, you're not going to be able to get it on, are you? So let's say that's the red, that's the red. What you could do is just basically twist them together like that. Twist them together. That's pretty solid as long as you don't go too mad. Put your shrink tubing over it. This is where I prefer soldering, like that. And same with that one. link it together. So let's get another piece of shrink tubing, put that on there, like that, link these together, twist, 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 like so, then push your shrink tubing over the top, like so, there you go. And basically then heat that up and that'll shrink them round there. Obviously if you don't go mad pulling it, they're good to go, but I honestly prefer to use solder for that because it's a lot stronger. So you could do that and solder it, even stronger. So that's how I do that. And what else is there? Yeah. So what I'll do is, I'm going to leave it here. Basically, that's everything you need to get going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to make all this, put all this together. Then I'll come back and show you it all put together. And then how I did it, what part I put, where I put it, and how I did it. And then what I'll do is I'll show you then, preferably in the same video, of me fitting it to the bike. And then show you it all working with any luck. Hey, bonus. Right, I'll speak to you later. Big T out.